is it that so many people can talk for hours and yet never advance, never learn, never build the bridges that bring them the life they want? Why is it that the loudest voices often end up the weakest when the results are counted? That question has been with me for years. I've met men who could dominate a room with words, but never dominate their own habits. I've met women who could fill notebooks with speeches, but never fill a bank account. And I kept asking, how can someone talk so much, but know so little? How can someone explain everything, yet solve nothing? You see, most people think the secret is in the talking. They think the more you explain, the more persuasive you'll be. They think the more noise you make, the more attention you'll get. Some think if they just keep speaking, sooner or later, the world will reward them for effort alone. And some believe that if they can out-talk the competition, they'll win the prize. But I'm telling you, that's the wrong answer. Talking doesn't multiply your knowledge. Talking doesn't give you an edge in business or in life. Talking is often just rehearsing what you already know. It's the echo chamber of your own mind. And if all you do is echo what you already know, you end up living the same year over and over, calling it a decade. The truth is different. The truth is that listening is the greater power. Listening is the gate to wisdom. Listening lets you gather while talking spends. Listening is how you learn the nuances, the hidden clues, the details that others miss because they're too busy crafting their next sentence. Listening is where the gold lies. Think about it. Nature itself teaches us this. You were given 2 ears and 1 mouth, not the other way around. That's nature's subtle reminder. Use the ears more than the mouth. Twice the listening, half the talking. That balance alone would change someone's career, their relationships, even their bank account. Let me give you an example. I once sat in on a meeting where a young man was eager to impress. He talked nonstop, explaining his opinions, his plans, his grand vision. The older man across the table said almost nothing. He just nodded, asked a few quiet questions, and kept taking notes. A year later, the one who had listened was wealthy from the deal, and the one who had talked was still trying to be heard. Why? Because the listener learned what the other man valued, what he feared, and what he was willing to trade. The talker missed it all because he was too busy broadcasting. You got 2 farmers. One farmer spends his day yelling at the ground, shouting instructions to the seeds, telling them how tall they should grow. The other farmer bends low, studies the soil, listens to the wind, watches the sky. Which one do you think will bring in the harvest? The one who listened to the land, not the one who shouted at it. So, remember this. Talking shows what you already know. Listening shows what you are willing to learn. Talking can make you look smart for a moment. Listening can make you wise for a lifetime. Talking builds noise. Listening builds knowledge. If you want power, listen more than you speak. If you want wisdom, gather before you give. If you want influence, understand before you attempt to be understood. That's the law. That's the secret. And if you capture it, it will serve you for the rest of your days. Most people resist this lesson. They believe listening is weakness. They believe silence means you don't have much to say, that you're not sharp, that you can't compete. Some even believe that if they pause too long, others will take advantage of them. That's not true. What happens when someone buys into those false ideas? A man in business refuses to let anyone finish a sentence. He interrupts, corrects, adds his own twist before the other person is done. On the surface, he looks strong, confident, decisive, but underneath, he's missing valuable information. He doesn't catch the customer's real concern. He doesn't hear the hesitation that signals doubt. He doesn't learn the competitor's weak point because he cut them off too soon. What looks like power ends up being loss. Or what about a parent who never listens to a child? Always giving instructions, always correcting, always talking. What does the child learn? That their voice doesn't matter, that they're not understood. Soon the child stops sharing, and the parent wonders why there's distance in the relationship. That's the cost of believing that talking is always superior. Here's the truth. Listening isn't weakness, it's strategy. Listening is positioning yourself to receive what others give away freely. Clues, lessons, insights, emotions. If you pay attention, people reveal exactly what they need, what they fear, and what they're willing to do. But only to the ear that is patient enough to hear it. It reminds me of the old story of the chess player. A beginner will rush his moves, quick to show how fast he can react. The master sits still, silent, eyes on the board, calculating, waiting. He moves less often, but wins more often. Why? Because he listens to the board. He notices the small details. He doesn't waste energy making noise. He invests energy in understanding the position. Life works the same way. The person who is quick to speak burns energy. The person who is quick to listen gains energy. The speaker spends. The listener accumulates. One is scattering seeds in the wind. The other is harvesting fruit. When you start listening with intention, something remarkable happens. You begin to hear not just words, but patterns. You hear what people repeat, and repetition is always a signal of importance. You hear what people avoid saying, and avoidance is often more revealing than confession. You hear tone, hesitation, excitement. All of that is information you can use to make wiser decisions. Listening is leverage. It's the hidden advantage. It's like compound interest. You might not see the payoff in the first hour, the first day, or even the first week. But over time, the accumulation of knowledge, trust, and insight becomes enormous. The talker ends up broke in information while the listener becomes wealthy in understanding. So the wrong answers always lead to loss. Believing that listening is weakness leads to blind spots. Believing that talking is persuasion leads to empty results. Believing that silence is failure leads to missed opportunities. Those are traps, and most people live in those traps for years. But the right answer, that listening is more powerful than talking, leads to growth, to trust, to influence. It leads to wisdom. It leads to connection, and it never runs out of value. If listening is truly the greater power, how do you see it at work? Let's draw a few clear pictures. Think of the courtroom. A good attorney knows when to argue, but the great attorney knows when to stop talking and start listening. The opposing side often reveals more in their testimony than in their silence. A careless phrase, a small contradiction, a shift in tone that can change the entire case. The attorney who listens closely is the one who wins. The one who talks too much often misses the golden moment. Listening works like a mirror. When you listen carefully, people see themselves more clearly, and that makes them trust you. Because what most people want is not to be talked into something, but to be understood. Talking demands attention. Listening earns it. Two men go fishing. One throws his line in, then starts shouting at the water, insisting the fish should bite, explaining how good the bait is. The other man casts his line quietly, watches the ripples, notices the patterns of the fish beneath. He pays attention. One man talks at the lake, the other listens to the lake. Now, which one comes home with dinner? The answer is obvious. You see, listening is kind of like mining. The surface looks plain, ordinary, but underneath lie veins of gold. The miner who hammers without observing, who shouts at the mountain, gains nothing. The miner who studies the rock, listens to the sound of the pick, notices the faint gleam. That's the miner who discovers treasure. Words are like the surface. Listening digs beneath. So the next time you're in conversation, count how many questions you ask compared to how many statements you make. Most will find the balance heavily tilted toward talking. But if you reverse that ratio, something changes. Suddenly you learn more. You connect more. You see more. Because questions open doors, and listening allows you to walk through them. Listening is patience in action, and patience always multiplies results. Talking is immediate, like spending cash. Listening is slow, like investing. The spender ends with empty pockets. The investor ends with compound wealth. So never confuse silence with weakness. Never confuse listening with passivity. Listening is activity of the highest kind. It's collecting data, building understanding, positioning yourself for advantage. It's the soil where wisdom grows. Talking declares what you know today. Listening builds what you'll know tomorrow. So how can we turn this into a little challenge for ourselves? Because ideas are nice, but discipline is what makes them real. Ask yourself, how many opportunities have slipped through your fingers because you were too busy talking? How many relationships cooled because you didn't pause long enough to listen? How many sales, promotions, partnerships, or insights vanished because you filled the silence instead of learning from it? That's the price of ignoring this principle. I've watched people ruin their chances because they couldn't keep quiet. In business meetings, some speak too soon and reveal their strategy before it's time. Others interrupt and lose respect instantly. In negotiations, many think talking gives strength, but strength often lies in silence. The person who listens gathers leverage while the talker gives it away. And here's the test. The next time you're in conversation, discipline yourself to wait 3 seconds before responding. Just 3 seconds of pause. You'll notice something remarkable. In that space, people often reveal more. They fill the silence with the truth they hadn't planned to share. You learn more in those 3 seconds than you would in 3 minutes of talking. Or maybe you can try this. When you're about to speak, ask yourself, am I saying this to add value or just to be heard? Most of the time, people talk just to fill the air. But value comes from listening first, then speaking with precision. Imagine the difference if every word you spoke was backed by listening. Your words would carry weight. People would lean in because they would know you don't waste language. You see, when you talk less, your words actually matter more, because scarcity breeds value. A diamond is valuable because it's rare. Gold is precious because it's not scattered everywhere. Your words can be the same. If you use them less often, after listening carefully, they gain the impact of gold and diamonds. People don't follow a leader because he can talk endlessly. They follow because he listens, understands, and then speaks with clarity. A leader who listens creates loyalty. A leader who only talks creates distance. Families work the same way. Friendships too. Listening builds bonds. Most people drown those voices out with noise. But when you learn to quiet down and listen inside, you uncover guidance that can save you years of wandering. And the best part is, listening can be practiced anywhere. You don't need a classroom, a certificate, or permission. You can practice it in a conversation, in nature, while reading, while reflecting. It's a portable discipline, always available, always valuable. Here's the challenge. Apply it to what you care about most. Whatever you hold dear, try listening more in that area. Listen to the patterns. Listen to the lessons. Listen to the signals. Don't rush to speak. Don't rush to judge. Just collect, observe, absorb. You'll find clarity increasing. You'll find mistakes decreasing. You'll find opportunities multiplying. Listening is not tied to a single pursuit. It is a master key. And like any key, once you hold it, you can open whichever door you choose. So decide which doors matter most to you. Then let listening do its work. If listening is truly the greater power, then the final question is not whether you agree. It's whether you will apply it. Agreement doesn't change a destiny. Notes in a journal don't change the years ahead. Only discipline does. And listening, though simple, demands discipline. Because the urge to talk is strong. The urge to prove, to explain, to fill the air, that comes naturally. The choice to listen must be made deliberately. So on one side, you can go on talking, repeating your same ideas, reliving your same patterns, replaying the same year of experience over and over. On the other side, you can step into a different life by listening more. Listening to people, to events, to your own inner signals. One path leaves you stuck, the other opens new ground. Silence is not weakness. Patience is not passivity. Listening is strength, dressed in quiet clothes. Those who learn it rise above the crowd, because most people are too busy shouting to notice the clues scattered all around them. So let me leave you with this final challenge. Every conversation you enter, every meeting, every interaction, ask yourself this: am I talking to be heard, or am I listening to understand? If you ask that question daily, you will slowly train yourself into the habit. And that habit will serve you in ways that talk never could. Choose carefully. Every day you're offered the same choice. Repeat what you already know or discover what you don't. One keeps you where you are. The other moves you forward. Let others chase the noise if they want. You make the wiser choice. You listen. And by listening, you learn, you grow, you see what others miss. That's how the quiet ones change the world.